get closer to the grave. I am terrified. I fell asleep in the well again. Crush my conscience to feel again. Let out race me. Seems to race me. I am lightning. 'Cause I'm about to break down.
Hey guys, Deathrank here, and today's video is going to be about Hameline from Radiant. We're going to break this video up into multiple sections, starting with the Domators and what the Domators are. Domators are basically rogue or evil sorcerers who use their fantasia to harm people and or hired to do crimes. For example, the Bravery Quartet in the first chapter who attacked Pompo Hill. They attack Seth and everyone else just to get money. And we see them tie up the civilians right as the Nemesis is about to use a beam on the people. Seth saves them, of course, he's the main fucking character. He almost dies doing it. But yeah, you get the general idea of what a Domator is. Now to move on to Hameline's past. When Hameline was a little girl, she was taken from her mother and parents because she was infected. She was a sorcerer. She was locked up in a cage and publicly ostracized and abused by the townsfolk who kidnapped her. In the anime, we also see that she got this flute. It looks like a recorder in the anime for some fucking reason, but it's a flute in the manga. Don't question it, the anime is inconsistent, but I will throw that clip up now of Hameline's past.
音楽はいいぞ。言葉や文化が違っても美しい音色は心を癒す。
Now that you guys have seen that clip, you now know what I'm talking about. That flute is what she used to basically conduct herself to where she wouldn't go mentally insane or kill anyone with it. We see her form a bond with the Nemesis, which he further talks about in the arc. Now to get on to who Conrad is, what his goals were, and what he was trying to accomplish using Hameline as the Domator sorceress to kill everyone on the island or destroy the island. Conrad's goal in the Rumbletown arc, or in general, is to get all the immigrants, all the sorcerers together so he can lock them up and or kill them. He was trying to get every single person in the northern suburbs, which he considered a dump, together so he could kill them. That's why he hired Hameline. He hired her to act as the ploy to get everyone together, to act as the witch hunt. So Seth talks to her about that in their fight. But I'm not done with Conrad. Conrad's also a racist. A very big one. He wanted to play on people's fear of others and people's, how do I say this, prejudicial stereotypes of people. He also broke all the laws he swore to withhold. He swore to withhold all the laws as an Inquisition soldier, which he didn't. He used Hameline to do his dirty work to make everyone afraid. He also hired a Domator, aka Hameline. He also used Hameline to start a riot and hatred towards immigrants. People fear many illegal immigrants are using terrorist attacks to expose their will to destroy our freedom of expression, is what one of the town criers said. But on to Seth and Hameline's fight. To understand Seth and Hameline's fight, we also need to understand Pioden and what his goal is with Seth. He gave Seth something called the second skin, or I'm going to call it blackness. That's because it's like a little black orb inside the Sid realm that's inside of Seth. It's like a spiritual realm that they can go to, and he activated Seth's ability. He also spying on Seth through that. And basically he tells Seth just what side are you going to choose? The Inquisition, the good people, or the citizens as executioners of infected, or are you going to choose the sorcerers, which include the Domators and everyone else? So that's, I went to Pioden, now it's back on to Seth and Hameline's fight. Hameline, she uses a flute, which we learned earlier that it controls Nemesis through a Fantasia spot on them, which allows the Fantasia to control the Nemesis. I will read you what Doc said. We only know that when the mark is lighted, the Nemesis act under the control of a tamer sorcerer. If the mark you saw was lighted, that means the source, Nemesis, and all of his Nemesis echoes were under the influence of somebody. Echoes are small, like, nemesis that come from a bigger one. They act as a packer group. That's what they're there for. And when we see Seth and Hameline fight, she doesn't use her nemesis. She uses this her pure, raw Fantasia to fight Seth. Their fight was not an actual fight. It was more of a philosophical fight between them. Seth was being naive, saying that he wanted to find the radiant to stop it, that everyone could be unified, while Hameline wasn't doing that. Basically, she's like, everybody hates me, everybody hates sorcerers, they treat us all like shit. And she's like, we're monsters to them, which is what their whole thing was about. And she says to Seth, oh, you're not like me, you were raised by the good people. And Seth has a flashback to his past when he was locked into a cage, put onto a stake and fire, almost burned to death before Alma saves him. There's also a flashback of when him and Alma are inside of a cage for the Inquisition to come get them. And then Seth declares, no, we are the same. He goes, I can't bear it, the way they look at us, always having Inquisition after us, to having to hunt Nemesis, and ending up hunted like Nemesis. I often want to destroy everything when I was a kid. Seth feels that monstrous rage that Hameline feels, but Seth withholds it because he doesn't want to turn evil. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. And then Hameline says, have they given us a reason not to rise up against them? We learn Hameline only took this job to basically act as, because she knew she was deployed, she knew she was being manipulated to do it. And as Seth says, that it was all an act that she was doing. She doesn't want to kill anyone either. That's why she didn't destroy the balloons holding up the island. She just wanted to scare everyone. And she says, all that's left for us to do is choose a side and fight. You'd have to be pretty naive to think otherwise. That or a traitor. And then he just talks about how everyone came together to help them. Which we then see that she gives him a kiss as the thermal torches get there. Hameline gets stabbed by General Torque. Seth goes berserk after freaking out. He starts to fight General Torque in his blackness form, or the Sid form as I'm going to call it from now on. He gets sliced by an anti-Fantasia sword, or General Torque's Miracle, which then limits his Fantasia wielding ability in his left arm. I think it's his left arm, maybe he's right, I'm not sure. I know it's one of his arms. Which then leads into what happens next. Grim, Melly, and Doc pick him up and then fly to a train from the Artemis Institution. They get back to Melly's house. Seth's in a coma for I think it's a week or two, and he wakes up and he just starts talking about how he couldn't help anyone. But this leads in to Hameline's impact on Seth. Hameline's impact on Seth is a lot more than you'd think. Not only did she change his perspective on Nemesis, she also made him realize that his search for the Radiant needs to be a lot, how do I say this, a lot less stupid and naive as he's making it out. We see after the Rumbletown arc, after the Hameline fight, after I should say Torque's fight, we see Seth wake up in Melly's house 2 weeks later. We see that he has a scar on his arm, and Grim tells him that scar is an anti-Fantasia scar, that he won't be able to use Fantasia on that arm as well. And Seth says, good, maybe it can't hurt anyone, along those lines. We then see there's a party thrown in Seth's honor for saving Rumbletown. At that party, someone's harassing him. It's one of his, like, I guess you can call antagonists. They don't like Seth at all, and they torture him at every chance they get. Seth just straight decks him in the face. He's like, shut the fuck up, stop asking me to fight you, basically. He goes, if you want to exchange information on the Radiant, come talk to me. But if not, leave me alone. We then see he leaves the party, and then goes down to where the Nemesis are being held at, or the Echoes, I should say, as that's what they are. We see Alma walk up to him, and they talk, and he's just being really depressed and talking about how he doesn't help at all, he hurts more than he helps. And then Alma shows him the letter he got from one of the families he helped in Rumbletown, which changes his perspective on everything from there. It gives him the faith in his own ability to go to the next island. He always has that knowledge of Nemesis aren't the enemies, they're just like us, so he's gonna try not to kill them as much as he possibly can. Alright, now that we're done talking about the impact Hameline had on Seth, let's get on to my overall opinions and rating of the series. Alright guys, so here's my opinion on rating it. The art is a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's beautiful. I think the way he draws the characters is phenomenal. The backgrounds, the environments, how he shows Fantasia, how he shows everything is amazing. I love the fact that it's not a weekly or monthly series, because he drops the volume per volume every 4 months, I think, and it's I think 8 chapters each volume. I'll have to check and I'll put a thing up now about how many chapters are in a volume. But he gives us quality over quantity, which I really enjoy. He also has more time to focus on his amazing storytelling, which I think the lore, plot, and story rating is a solid 9. I love how he's talking about racial tendencies and all the political stuff that's happening nowadays in a tight, compact story. I also like how his lore is deep and rich. I also love his foreshadowing and how he writes the characters. I think the cast is phenomenal so far. I don't think there's any character that hasn't been utilized to their full potential. I think the recent arc that just ended, Siphender, was a solid 10. That arc is fucking amazing. It's the Soul Society arc of Radiant, and I really recommend checking it out. I also like the villains that we've had so far. I like how the Inquisition is using their power and influence to basically manipulate people. But they're not all bad guys, like Dragunov. He is helping Seth and Grimm. I also like the Fantasia power system, and so on. But my overall rating of the series so far, as of chapter, I think I'm on 80 now, I have to give the series a solid 8 out of 10. It can go up or down depending on how this next arc goes. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. It took me forever to make. I had some editing errors and some fuck-ups with this. It wasn't a script, but I do all this shit off my head, at least for these recent videos. So if you hear me pause, I'm sorry. I will try to cut those out, but I don't want to be too jarring. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was somewhat enjoyable. I'm sorry that it took so long to get this out. But yeah, I love you all. Hope you like, comment, subscribe. Death Crank out. Peace.